As of recently, I found myself entering rooms and wondering if I am the strongest, emotionally capable, and emotionally stable person in the room. And this is not to boast, or this is not out of arrogance or anything like that. It's purely a matter of discernment and wondering, like, wow, this is crazy. These people genuinely love cheap things and weak people more than they do valuable things and strong individuals. This is really something. And one of the reasons that I've been thinking this as of late, especially like with, around this time of year with the holidays and such, I really like this time of year environmentally and geographically, just provided the weather and just the overall atmosphere of just the environment in general, that stillness. But my golly, there's just so many buffoons. There are just so many buffoons out there at this time. And you find yourself thinking like, how do these people live with themselves? Like, how do they really live with themselves? Because on the outside, everything looks okay. Everything looks all right. They're just, another one of the people. But then you start to listen to the conversations and you're just like, you got to be kidding. Like, I don't even want to be near this stuff. This morning at the gym, I was going hard. I was doing weighted pull-ups, and this guy next to me was talking to this fairly attractive woman. The attractive woman approached him, actually, and it turns out that they've been friends or whatever. But the guy's married. And I'm not sure the status of the woman, but she's fairly attractive, and she just starts trying to make him fall into her frame. She's telling him what to do and how to feel about these situations and about the things going on in his life and how he should handle himself and conduct himself. And he's like, yeah, I guess just right now, I just feel so weak. And this kind of conversation happened multiple times. Not with the same people, but throughout the day at the gym. It was a weird pattern. It was a weird form that was going on. Like, these women were telling the men what to feel and how to think about things. And then once the men started to feel weak and pitiful and, oh, well, I'm just so glad that you're okay, or I'm just so pleased that, you're doing what you need to do. So the woman breaks down the man and his confidence and takes his life force and then praises him for doing what he's doing, while he's like openly telling this other woman that he's weak. And my stomach churned at that moment. It was like something was just sickening about the whole situation. And as soon as he said, well, I'm feeling kind of weak, the first thing that went through my head is, well, stay the fuck away from me, man. Like, this is the craziest thing too, is like, this gym that I go to is supposed to be like the best gym in town. Like, this is supposed to be where all of the really good workout people go to work out. And that's the reason I chose this gym, was because I wanted to surround myself with people that were more like disciplined and more hard. And I wanted to make sure that I'm around people that take this kind of shit seriously. And it's just incredible to me. It's just incredible. And I want you all to think about a time where you had to save up for something. You had to save up for, I can think the first thing that comes to mind for me was my first pair of Air Jordans. Oh man, I saved up. I did so much lawn mowing for those things. I did weeks and weeks and weeks of yard work and mowing mowing lawns and such until I finally earned the ability to go purchase that. And that was when I was like ninth, 10th grade. And I wanted to go to the Nike store so bad because it was just opening up in my town at the time. We'd never had anything like it around, and so I wanted to make sure that I got my Air Jordans. This was a valuable thing from my perspective as a ninth or 10th grader. And I worked hard to earn it. And man, oh man, I took care of those bad boys for years. Fortunately and unfortunately, my feet never actually grew any more than they did from the time I was in ninth grade. I was I hadn't really grown at all since then, to be honest, as far as like height or foot width or anything like that. But it's because I'm 5'6" for anybody that doesn't know. I'm 5'6", and so yeah, I never grew anywhere. But anyway, that's kind of beside the point. The point is that I worked really hard to get this thing that I valued. I valued this and I earned it. I had to work for it to get it. And I took care of these things up until last year. It was up until last year where I finally had to throw them out because it was just, they were being used too much. I mean, that's like over a decade worth of wear. And I took care of those bad boys. And I scrubbed them with a toothbrush. I cleaned everything all the time. And the only reason I really had to throw them out was because the inside was what was kind of destroyed, not the outside. Like the soles and everything, I never wore them like on the asphalt or anything. I always wore them in the basketball court or in the gym. And there was a time in my life where I wasn't really wearing them when I was about 200 pounds. And because I was much more athletic in high school, but I was never like super big. I was never like a big guy, and never had a lot of muscle mass or anything like that. And I've never really wanted to, but I understand the value of trying to get to that point. I understand what you're trying to do in order to succeed in that way. But it's just occurred to me throughout the years, specifically over the last like 2 years, that there are many people that would just rather get their regular pair of shoes, wear them out, don't take care of them, and just keep the process. It's kind of like with junk food, or it's kind of like with fast food. A lot of times people in my consultations have even said like because they're so busy, they have to go to fast food. And I'm to the point now to where I would rather go hungry and eat my meal super late, or if I need to, and I would rather make my food at the very end of the day when I've done everything I need to do and I've accomplished everything I need to accomplish. I'd rather make my meal then and just be a bit hungry than to go freaking to fast food. Like, that's just me personally, and I would advise you guys all the same thing. But obviously, you're a grown adult, you can do what you want to do. That's part of the beauty and the terror of living in the world we live in. We've got so much time and so much freedom to do certain things, but there's also only 24 hours in the day. So we can only do so much, and we can only do what we want to do. But it's just crazy to me how weak some people are. Like, and then they tell themselves these stories about weakness, and I can understand it to a degree because I was one point, I was that guy. I was that beta male that was telling women about my struggles and how sorrowful my life was, and how I need love, and really what I was looking for was a mom. That's what I was looking for, was a mom. Because, to be honest, like, that kind of stuff just wasn't in my that kind of environment wasn't nurturing growing up. I didn't have that kind of nurturing quality. a lot of my family members, and I'm not calling out anybody specifically here in my family in case anybody is watching, but because I don't know, like I've had family members reach out to me here and there over the past year or two after I I am not necessarily like contacting certain ones, so who knows? But I didn't really have that environment of nurturing. It was more of either neglect or smothering from most of my family members. And I'm sure a lot of you guys can resonate with this to some degree. Blood doesn't really mean much at the end of the day. The only thing that really means anything is loyalty. And loyalty is love. And that's all that we really want. As children of Israel, all we want is loyalty and love and the absence of lies. But that is so freaking hard nowadays. And the reason that it's so difficult is because nobody wants to be real with themselves. They would rather tell themselves lies and make themselves feel better and cheer people on. Yeah, you go, girl. Yeah, you be that independent woman. You do that thing. And then you got the men, oh yeah, I'm so weak. I'm so weak now. Just like wallowing in their own self-pity, like, oh, okay. I once had a friend, bless his heart. He was at one point my best friend I ever had. And it just got to the point to where we were in high school and we were still friends and we had been friends for a long time, but he didn't have the ambition. He didn't have that get up and go mentality that I did. And I was never perfect, but I always knew that I wanted to do more. Like I always wanted to do more. And this guy just, once high school came around, he was just like he cut himself from the team, man. He just cut himself off from the team. And a lot of men out here are self-sabotaging their own capabilities, their own reasons to live. Like they don't see a lot of the point, and that is the point. There's not a point to a lot of people's lives, whether we like it or not. We're going to have to create the meaning. We're going to have to create the point. That's what the real message of life is about, as far as I can tell, is we are not going to have to, we have to really create our own life and our own meaning for it. And something that many people like Jordan Peterson has talked about, has discussed that, well, what happens when everything matters? What happens if everything that you do matters? You can flip it around. Instead of nothing matters, everything you do matters. That's where you create the meaning in your life. And so a lot of the times these people prioritize amusement and flattery over fulfillment. That's what it is. They prioritize feeling okay. Well, we gotta feel okay. Over the actual work and the hunt and the gathering. And man, it's just so frustrating to watch in some instances. It's just so frustrating because you can see it's like okay, I can take a blueprint of your life right now and tell you exactly where you need to go spiritually in order to find more fulfillment. Because I can guarantee you that what you're doing right now is not going to fulfill you. And part of the reason in my consultations I do daily goals and I do monthly goals at like the first part of the consultations. And then we kind of navigate the terrain going forward. And this is and I also do a personalized prayer for those that follow Christ. And because some people are not necessarily following Christ, but they're not necessarily not following Christ that I've talked to. They're like in the midst of it. And sometimes I provide a prayer, sometimes I don't, but I really go based off of what God wants me to do. And there have been times, the reason that I provide these goals is not necessarily to have goals. Like, goals are great. You should set goals. Friend, yes, 100%. That's one of the reasons why we do goals. And that's one of the reasons why I have goals in my consultations and as a part of the service. But that's not the point. Like, the goals themselves are not the point. The point is to point you in a direction. The point is to give you a place to go. Because at the end of the day, that's really all that we're trying to do, is we're breathing and we have a place to go. We're breathing and we have a place to go. We're breathing and we have a place to go. We have things to do. That's like the most basic form at the spiritual level of what we're trying to do. As far as the practicalities are concerned, well, that's a completely different story. The practicalities of life are much different. Much, much different. But they're also quite similar in many different ways. The practicalities of life are, well, you have bills to pay, you have people to maintain or build relationships with, you've got, whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's business partners, whatever the case may be, you have people in your life and things in your life that if you do or do not do, it's going to affect you in some certain way, shape, or form. That is the practicalities of life. And I think it's okay and it's good to have that practicality of life, but it's also really important to consider inner strength. Where is this kind of stuff coming from? It's crazy to me. It's just so crazy how so many people in this world choose to be weak, and they express it and they wear it like a badge of fucking honor. Like this guy at the gym. Dude, way to go. Like, and I'm not saying like, we all have our weak points, and that's, you talk to your buddies or your men about that. You don't go to a women, like, men out there, please do not, like, just don't tell women about how weak you're feeling, even if you are feeling weak. And I'm not saying you can't, like, share what's going on in the situation if you're, like, uncomfortable about something, or if you don't like something that is going on. Like, yeah, express that. But if you're going to just, for all intents and purposes, be a pussy about it, I don't like saying that kind of stuff, but, like, that's really what it is. If you're just going to be a weak, maggot-minded fool with no processing whatsoever, then, yeah, you deserve the cheap things that you get. You deserve the cheap things. And these women that are, like, attractive, here's what I've realized. Because, like, I look at some of these women and I think to myself, as they're with the guy that they're with, and I'm just like, really? Like, really? That doesn't really make sense. That guy, I've talked to that guy separately, or I can just see by the way he walks. Because men that are actually godly and have some kind of discernment can tell these kinds of things because they themselves understand it. Like, the way someone walks tells a lot about the person. If your chest is out, your shoulders are back, your head is held high. Men, maybe you've got a slight sway and swagger to your shoulders. Women, if your hips are a little bit more swayed. Like, these are all indicators of confidence, like, internal confidence. It's not like arrogant confidence where you're strutting your stuff. That's not what it is. That's not what it is at all. Don't strut your stuff like that, because we people that are real see the through it. We see through it. Y'all are fake as hell out there. Stop it. We know. It's crazy. It's just mind-boggling, man. It's just mind-boggling how some of these people just like you look at this attractive woman and you're looking at the guy and you're like, there's no way that guy, like, even if he made the money, like, there's no way. There should be no way. But that's actually the way it is. Why? Because even though that woman looks attractive on the outside, her inside personality, it's not quite what she wants you to believe it is. Something that I've learned about women is, especially if they've had a certain kind of past, is, and they're trying to change it now, they're trying to change their image now, even though they still dress a certain way. They want to act like the sweet little innocent angel that they used to be before all of that stuff happened. Before they gave their soul away to every guy in town. It's like, you gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. Like, I see your eyes. I see the dark soul. I see the bottom of your soul in your eyes. And there's nothing there. I see the bottom of your soul. There's no light. Man, I was talking to this this girl a couple months ago, and she actually had like bright eyes. Like, I wasn't trying to like get with her or anything like that, but I could tell that she had value. Like, she had genuine value. And this was like at a reception desk. I was going running errands and such. And I didn't have time to even talk to this woman, even if I wanted to. But I could tell just by the look in her eyes that there was a light there. Like, there was legitimate purity there. And that was nice. It was nice because you can see the value. You can see the value. And I'm not saying that you're looking at this woman like she's the Air Jordans, but you can see the kind of value that's there. And this is why us godly people, we actually value valuable things. I don't like the term high value men. I don't like the term high value women. But we actually understand when someone has value because of the way that they act, the way that they behave with other people too. Because that's another thing you'll notice with men and women is and women definitely, they will act different with different men for sure. For sure. It's almost like women mirror your emotional frame to some degree. But if your emotional frame as a man is too strong, they go ballistic. Like, they can't, especially if they're the ones that are on the not so healthy end of things. Let's say they have an unhealthy attachment style. It's like their brains can't compute. And then with men, they just shrivel up. It's like, I was going to say something. I'll say it. It's kind of like, every man knows this. When you get into an ice bath or you have a cold shower, something gets a little bit tinier, doesn't it? And we all know how that feels, right? These men are taking cold showers in life for everybody to see in the public. Metaphorically speaking, emotionally, they're taking cold showers. And it's not even the kind that's going to build resilience. It's just, you see this shriveled up emotional man and you're just like, wow, buddy. Like, I feel for you, man. Like, I hope you find the discipline and the internal virility to move forward and find that flame, Create it. Again, I don't even like the word find. Like, create that fucking flame. Create it. Well, there's lots more to say on this topic, but I think I've got everything that I wanted to say out. But with that being said, I hope this message was useful and insightful to someone out there. And peace be with you till next time.